Hello, it's Kevin again from JJ Hat Center. Hello to everybody. Good morning. It's just about noon here in New York, overlooking Queens Boulevard, Queens. Beautiful, clear day. Let's play some guitar today. We're going to talk about the differences between two of the hottest Stetson hats that everybody seems to really want to know about this year. The Stratoliner. What's the difference between the different Stratoliners? Stratoliner is one that's open crown and really baggy and vintage. There's another one that's kind of more of a crossover hat and low crowns, but not open crown. Very, standard sort of crown. And the open road. There's a whole bunch of open roads that seems confusing on their website. One of them says Royal Deluxe Felt, which is a bit stiffer than what you're used to, meaning it's stiffer than Royal Deluxe dress hats, but it's softer than a regular 6X Western hat. So it's deceiving, confusing, probably not on purpose. It's just, you got to know lots and lots of background and about both hats, both types, both kinds of felt, and who does, except people who work there, and not even all those people do most of the time. So the chance of the consumer knowing is pretty small. So yeah, we'll just sketch it out. It's pretty easy actually. Generally, we confuse these things ourselves. Like a looper pedal, there's this whole list of different commands for the typical guitars. It's a looper pedal. The pedal is that it allows you to record one little rhythm guitar section, click it, and then it plays it back, and then you record a little bass part, records that on top of it, and you do a little orchestration, and you can jam along to it. A lot of street musicians do it, and looping. So it all works with one switch, and all the switches do a million different things. Tap once, tap again, press and hold, double tap and hold, tap foot switch again, press and hold when loopers disengage. It's all one switch doing different things. That always confused me, but basically all it is, hit it once, you're recording, you're in red light mode, hit it again, you're in playback mode, it turns green. That's really all you need to know. The other things are just you look them up when you need it. How do I undo something if I make a mistake? You look it up on the manual. But that's it. There's two things, and they're both just hit it and hit it again. It's so simple. We complicate things. Like this video, I'm going off on another famous Kevin tangent. Alright. I went back to the other setting on my microphone. This is the music setting. I wasn't happy with the talk setting. So yeah, I raised the bass, I put the compression up, it's in full stereo mode in the music preset, and what else? I think I took the wind, there's a wind reduction setting, I took that off, thinking maybe we'll get better high end, but you're probably going to get more of that ambient noise from outside, right? Alright. So let's play a little bit of guitar. We'll talk about the Strat, not the Stratocaster, the Stratoliner. And we're going to also talk about the open road. The open road, different types, and what's the difference of everything. This crazy pick I use. I'm not going to use this pick. Let's do the fingers. Right? This pick's even wilder. Look how thick this thing is. I'm trying to give you an idea of exactly how thick it really is. It's so thick. I don't know, 5 millimeters or something. Alright. today. Feel at your side of bed. The covers will still warm where you've been laid. You're gone. My heart was filled with dread. You might not be sleeping here again. But it's alright, 'cause I love you, and that's not gonna change. Run around, let me hurt again and again. Well, I still sing your love songs written in the letters of your name. Rain is gonna fall, surely looks like rain. Never awaken to the sun. If street cats making love, guess from their cries, listen to a fire. Well, you know, hate is just the last thing they're thinking of. They're only trying to make it through the night. Oh, it's alright, 'cause I love you. That's not gonna change. Run me around, make me hurt again, again, again. But I'll still sing love songs written in the letters of your name. Rain is gonna come, it surely looks like rain. It surely looks like rain. It looks like rain, it feels like rain. Oh, here comes rain. Looks like rain, it feels like rain. Oh, here comes rain. That was an A, right? Alright. Getting better with the dynamics. You hear my voice a little better now, right? Alright. Alright, let's get to the lesson part now. I'm all psyched. I did a good version of that song. Alright, the big deal is two different things. The different Stratoliners, there's one of them that's like a specialty Stratoliner. It's kind of like the one for the real connoisseurs and, you know, the real, like after you bought a few hats and you're ready for an open crown hat and a hat with a vintage crown. You know, vintage crown doesn't go like tapered like an A. It's just straight up and super baggy and rectangle. It's kind of like, instead of, yeah, like that, it's like straight up and big, like a rectangle high. You've seen those pictures of Humphrey Bogart with those big, tall gangster hats. They're very baggy. Okay, that's the way these hood guys used to wear them. It's almost like the 1940s version of hip-hop or something. You know, it's like a gangstery look. Big, tall, baggy crown was in style at some point. A couple of those Raiders movies, they had a crown like that. You guys know about that too. The one hat that Stetson makes like that is called the Premier Stratoliner. It comes open crown like this, totally open. It has the same Stratoliner band, the same Stratoliner brim, the same Stratoliner small piping on the edge, the bound edge. Binding's the same. The difference is A, it comes open crown, no shape, and B, it has the vintage crown. It's much wider, stocky, higher, and yes, technically you can shape open crown to any height you want. You bring the back down with the teardrop, you bring the front down, you know, just to whatever height you want. You know, you could just do it, you know, if you have decent steaming skills. It's just about kind of like, you know, folding it into itself, and it just gets smaller and smaller. You can make any height hat, you know, lower, lower, lower if you're teardropping it. And technically, yeah, you could take the Premier Stratoliner, the open one, and make it low like a regular Stratoliner S.E, or, you know, whatever Stratoliner, like a low hat. But it doesn't lend itself to that look. It looks better high. Not only is it a high crown, it's wide. So when you make a teardrop, it's not one of these little neat kind of like, I don't know, Asher or Whippet teardrops. It's like a big, wide, kind of wide on the sides. So you get that kind of big, sloppy, baggy thing happening. And it's so high that you don't even have to show the bubble inside. Sometimes you could just barely, you know, make a little room for the head, and that's it, and people see nothing. It just looks like it's a pit kind of, you know, going in rather than up, like a typical teardrop. So, yeah, there's an authenticity to it. I have no problem with the word authenticity. Okay. It is authentic, but the deal is it's not for everybody. Some people just, you know, they don't like it. If you embrace the high crown thing, the vintage thing, you want something high and vintagey, just get it. They make one other hat called the Stetsonian, but the Stetsonian has a huge brim. It's like a really oversized brim. And thick binding, which is cool, but the brim is so big. The cool crown to me is like, I don't know. I'd rather get the Premier Stratoliner, just put a wide band if you need a big band. Yeah, some people make that modification. They put a wide band on it. We could do that for you. Any width you want, any color. Double bow if you want the double bow like here. It's very standard. You can make it super wide, like really vintage looking. It's not a problem. But the Premier Stratoliner, Stratoliner Premier, is a specialty hat. It's not for everybody. It's for the connoisseurs, the vintage guys, the people who want a high crown, the people who want to do something different, like wear it open, wear it like, let's say they want to wear it like an open road. You could put a cattleman's crease in it easy. You just, you know, you do that 3-finger crease, and then you basically have a soft dress hat felt. Stratoliner is a dress hat, okay, not a Western, version of an open road. So you just make yourself a softer open road. So if an open road is so hard and thick, you don't like the way it feels, all like, you know, stiff. Some people have problems with the stiff felt because it stays up high. It doesn't go down enough because the top doesn't flex. It can be fixed easily with steam, but Stratoliner is so soft on top that you could just, you know, you get your depth because your head just pushes it up. It's softer, you know, it's kind of like a softer felt, like a dress hat. So even if you bottom out, it's less of a problem. So the Stratoliner open crown, if you shape it like an open road, the only difference is A, it's dress felt, it's softer. It's not Western felt like it's standard open road. Okay? And B, it has a tiny bit shorter brim, like 1/8 of an inch shorter, and a tiny bit higher crown, like 1/8 of an inch or something, you know what I mean? So what that does is it gives it a slight bit of a dress hat vibe. I think it's the LBJ hat, a Stratoliner shaped like an open road. You wind up getting the dimensions of an open road minus just like the smallest bit on the sides and a little bit higher. So it gives you subliminally a little dressier look, a little less Western look, you know. Dress hat, you do Western, whatever you like. Now, the regular Stratoliner is called the Stratoliner S.E. Stratoliner Special Edition. There's nothing special about it. That's your regular Stratoliner. It's just its name. Stratoliner S.E. is one of like 3 regular Stratoliners they have now. They just expanded it to a million different ones. There's like a distressed one, which basically comes with like a little pin and some crazy feather, like a turkey feather or something. And it's the same thing. There's a lot of redundant hats. The open road is now made out of deluxe royal felt. So you've got the deluxe royal open road, then you've got the different straw types, and you've got the regular Western felt 6X one, which is a little stiffer. It's confusing. So think of it like this. Right? 2 of them. The regular one is called the Stratoliner S.E. Comes with a teardrop, comes pre-shaped, it's nice and low. It's a standard accessible Stratoliner. Most people can wear, you know. There's one charcoal with cream, there's an all gray one, there's a silver belly one, there's a silver belly with brown, there's a cognac one, there's a lot of different colors. They're also coming out with a special edition version of the SE called the Pure Stratoliner this fall. The Pure, I've been talking about it, it's all beaver. It's the beaver felt, like a super duper duper quality version. It's like if they took this $100 guitar and they made it into like a, you know, I don't know, a $10,000 guitar, but it looked exactly the same. It's kind of like that. Same looks, but it's an open road made out of like their best felt, you know, like all beaver. And they're nice. They're really nice. I know the felt. I don't know the particular hat yet. I haven't seen the new versions, but they're not really released yet. But I have seen the felt on other hats, and I know it's really some of the nicest beaver felt that Stetson's been using in a while, so I'm looking forward to those. So, Stratoliner S.E., a regular old Strat. The Stratoliner Distressed is kind of like a gimmicky version of it. You pull off the pin and the big feather, and it's kind of like the same thing. I don't know what's distressed about it. I haven't really seen it yet. So I'd rather have my hats undistressed than just sweat them up myself. So we just didn't order it. It's kind of redundant, we thought. So we do the Stratoliner S.E. in like a ton of colors, that one. And they come in mid-September, generally felts. You know, mid to late, let's be more realistic. Mid to late September. They're promised mid, but they come in more late. Some of them start early, though. Like we're already getting some felts now. The Great Plains just came in, and Tri-City, a few things, and Temples. Now, we talked about the difference between Stratoliners. You have the SE is your regular old low Stratoliner, pre-shaped. Your Premier Stratoliner comes unshaped, and it's a big, boxy, sort of a vintage crown. Okay. Specialist hat. It comes open. It's for the guy who wants a real vintage hat with real vintage specs, or somebody who wants to open road it and he wants something softer than an open road, or somebody who wants an open crown hat he could play with and, you know, do different things every day. Teardrop, Cattleman's crease, you know, center crease, gamber. You could do all kinds of pork pies and just play with it as long as you don't steam them in. They're not staying, you know. That's cool. Some people wear them open, you know. I know people who wear hats open and then just to lower the top, they just kind of give it a teeny little crease. So it's like an open crown that's just not too high for them. That's also cool. I always like this thing. This is super cool. It's kind of like a cool vintagey Johnny Depp thing. Open crown your hat. Do that thing where it's just lowered enough to look like not too high on you. You know, barely a crease. And then pinch just the top, just up here. And you get that kind of like Johnny Depp kind of vintage dude. I don't care how my hat looks. It's just all messed up and oversized, but it's still kind of cool, right? It's like a, I don't know, it's another variation of a way to shape your hat, you know. Sort of a vintage guy, rocker dude wearing his old worn out hat. You know who does that the best? Campbell from, what's his name? Right? Tom Campbell? No, from Tom Petty's band. You know what I'm talking about. I can never get that guy's name. Tim Campbell? Campbell, right? Mike Campbell. Oh, he's awesome. His hat collection. If you look for Mike Campbell with hats. Dude has amazing hats. He was just in Guitar Player magazine. He had them all laid out. They look like vintage hats with cool bands he's picked up on the road, you know, feathers lying down and stuff and sticking out. But he's got like a few flat brims, a few almost flat brims that just look kind of worn and flat, you know. And the guy's a cool dude. Really cool. And he's got really cool guitars too. Okay, now the other thing is the open road. The standard open road is the 6X open road now. Okay, it used to be 4X, which was like, you know, anything 4X and up used to be 100% fur felt. Anything less was a blend or wool. Now they changed it. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on now. There's 3X and 2X fur felt, and you know, they blurred the lines. I don't like the way they change stuff. I like things to be standardized, you know, but nothing's ever standardized. So that's kind of America though, right? We just don't standardize things. Remember when they tried to make everything the metric system? When I was in like junior high, they spent billions and billions of taxpayers' dollars to make all the roadsides, all the signs on the road were still the regular green signs and the regular speed limit signs. But in addition to it, we had these blue signs, which were metric. So it said your speed limit, and also had your metric speed thing and your metric, whatever, 30 meters till exit ramp. And we had these blue signs, which are kind of like getting you used to the metric system. So they were supposed to keep both up for a while, and then eventually drop the, you know, the miles and things, and we were supposed to switch. And the Americans never accepted it, and they just tore down all the blue signs. They're just gone. You know? So. Yeah, that was a weird thing. We just sort of like, nah, we don't want to do it, you know? Yeah, base 10. It sounds good, but nah, we're scared. We don't want to let go, you know, miles and feet and inches and stuff, you know? We know what that is, you know? So, yeah, maybe another time. So we rejected it, you know? Gotta hand it to Americans, though. You know, we're stubborn, you know? So stubborn. Like, I don't want to wear a mask. My doctor tells me I can't wear a mask, and I got a right to go in your store. Otherwise, I'm going to sue you. They're so like stubborn, you know. Like I don't think they do that stuff in Europe and other places, right? I think it's our stubbornness or something that made us like win the American Revolution. I truly do. I think British people are like, these people, man. They're all like overweight, and they're all like. Wearing shorts and like waiting online at Disneyland and like so fat and just complaining about everything, and oh my god, they are so fat. Oh man, yeah. It's just like let them win, right? Yeah. And all the British people, oh, come up with me, oh, that win? Yeah. Let them be their own thing, right? I don't know. And then the Americans won their revolution just by being stubborn, you know. They just like, we just won, you know. But we were outnumbered and everything, so, you know, I think it's good and bad, you know. Like the Sturgis rally and everything, there was like, you know, how many, 250,000 unmasked people, and, you know, all these rock bands playing, and then those guys got to go home and like infect their kids and their wives and their schools and their whole neighborhoods. Just for one night of partying, you know, like biker stuff, because they live for, you know, America and biker and freedom and their constitutional rights and, you know, hate commies. And it's just, we're stubborn, you know. We're a stubborn lot. And sometimes it hurts us, other times it helps us. But I'm going to say this, that you can't change us. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. You know. You've got like a divided country on this side, people on that side, but we don't change. Americans are so stubborn; they stay the same until they die. You know, it needs like we need a trauma or something to shock us out of overeating or something. We have to almost die. You know? I'm gonna eat well now. Oh, thank you God for letting me live. You know, otherwise we're just stubborn. So I don't know what I'm getting at, but it's true, right? I'm just looking outside. No masks anywhere. No mask, no mask, no mask. People are just tired of it. I've just had it with that. That's so, I've had it, I'm so past that now, Okay, the two open roads. So you've got one that's a 6X open road. That's your standard Western open road. Okay. Used to come in an open crown version too. And JJ's doesn't sell that one anymore. A hard open crown. The thing is that Western open crowns these days are a little bit harder there. So you can't just, you need a good steamer, a good table pedal steamer to get that guy in that huge Texas Western store to steam it, or somebody in JJ's. It's not like the old days. If you guys know what vintage open roads were like, years ago in the, I don't know, they have them from so long ago, turn of the century and stuff, in the 20s and 40s and 50s and 60s, all these old open roads, and they feel different, felt back then. Like the best felt of today, the super best stuff you can get was like the norm back then, like this beaver felt. And beavers, they're like pests, like rats. They're all over the place, beavers. Kill them, get their fur for hats. Why not? They're everywhere. People were just, knocking them off. There's so many beavers, and they were cheap. Did the same thing with buffaloes too, I think. But these days, the beaver hats are expensive, and they're sought after, and this and that. I think back then, in the old vintage hat days, they were pretty common. So what you want to look for the two open roads is Royal Deluxe is this new version they came out with. Instead of being the regular 6X Western felt one, okay, on this side is your Western hat, okay, it's stiffer fur felt, Western hat material. On this side is the new one, the Deluxe, the Royal Deluxe one. It's basically just taking the dress hat felt, the same stuff they make their temples out of, and whippets and all those hats, roadsters. They're using that Royal Deluxe felt. If you open it up and you see it's a Royal Deluxe series, that's what they're using. But they use a little more stiffener, so it's a little firmer than their typical Royal Deluxe series. So that's like a Western hat made out of dress felt. But they stiffen it a good deal. So I'm going to tell you, it doesn't feel that different. It feels just like, it's stiff enough to kind of behave the same way, but it's softer. It's softer, like, it keeps its shape, but it's not like worlds apart. There's not a drastic difference. The two hats are kind of like, brother hats. So I'm going to say the 6X is a little bit stiffer, the Royal Deluxe is a little bit softer, but they're kind of similar, So my opinion in the whole matter is, get the one that you like the color of. The open road Western 6X comes in like, silver belly, black, colors like that, Western colors. I think they come in gray. And the Royal Deluxe is coming in colors like cognac, like a butterscotch, really rich cognac color. Comes in sort of a greenish army green, like an olive green. It's a little like a dusty olive drab color. They call it sage green. It's like a sage green Burberry raincoat kind of thing. That's a nice color too. And there's new colors now. There's all these new open roads coming out, like navy blue and stuff, There's a gray open road, the solid black, which always looks good. I'm going to say, if you like something a little softer, get the softer ones. If you like something more rugged and you're worried about shape retention, rain and snow, get the 6X. Get Western is always going to be harder, stiffer, and to keep its shape better. But yeah, they're not worlds apart. Don't expect them to be totally different, because they're you know, they're kind of similar. Open roads have gotten, you know, a little thinner throughout the years, and you know, Royal Deluxe is it's a good series. They're both good. I'm gonna say you just pick the color you like, you know, get the one you want. They're all gonna hold up very well. But if you are a super rugged guy and you expect to get a lot of rain and the snow on your hat, go with Stetson Western, things that have X's to it, you know. Fur-felled Westerns with X's are going to be better than your dress hats. I'm not really big on the dress hats in the rain unless they're very few models and stuff, and yeah, even those, you know, unless you have a beater hat. I have a few hats that I really don't care what happens when they get wet, and you know, I try to almost wear them in sometimes, get them like weathered, and they never get old, you know. Like this is actually one of them. I have one of these and wear it all the time. If it rains, it snows, you know. But yeah, it never loses its shape. So there's certain hats, you know, that will do okay, but you get something else. You get a cheap rain hat, the Rain Challenger, the Aberdeen, the Rain Safari. They're made out of raincoat material. You could use that with your trench coat or with anything you wear from summer to winter, all year round, just for a snow or a rain hat, even a sun hat. They're cheap, you know. They're not going to be as cool as a straw, obviously, you know, way less. But they're waterproof, they're inexpensive, and you don't have to worry about the rain. Yeah, that's what I do. You get a rain hat, or you have a couple of felts, you treat them as beater hats that where you want them to get a little beat up. It's fun if you have a couple of old ones, you know, don't wait till they're so old that they become like stinky and there's grime on them and they're like offensive. Let it just be the bottom of the rotation and you wait for that one to be your rain hat. All you do is when you get back, you make sure everything's in the right place, crease, pinches are how they should be. The brim is kind of straight, you could run your fingers along it. Brim is up and off the surface of the table, so you flip it upside down. Hanging it is okay too, but if the hat's really soft, it could dry kind of like, you know, with a weird curve like that. So I would rather you straighten the brim, keep it in its up position. Even if you're a down guy, you want this thing to flip. Do not store it on its brim. Even doing it off the table edge, it's not that great. Flip it up. Keep it off the surface of the table, upside down like this. The idea is that you want it to dry with this in up position. You don't want this hinge to be broken. That's an unnatural way for it to dry. The hat was shaped with this flange, this curve in its hat, and the curvier it is up, the better it will snap down. So if you have a very subtle curve here, it'll snap down very subtle. If you have a big scoopy kind of a curve, it will snap very good down. So the idea is to, say it guys, preserve the curve. Okay, you want that shape to be preserved. You want to keep that little scoopy shape in here. Let's hold the flange. Keep it off the table like this. It should dry fine. Upside down should be fine. Keep your eye on it. The next day when it's hard, this is like your pivot point. It's a hinge, and you still have that nice curve. That hinge is what allows it to snap up and down. And the more we leave it flat like this curve relaxes and it starts getting lower, 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 lower like this. And the hat is almost flat. That way when you break the brim, there's nothing going to be broken because it's just flat. There's no up to snap down. Preserve the curve. Take it from me. That's what everybody does. They don't preserve the curve. Even if they know what to do, they keep the hat like this sometimes and the front leg gets soft. And we gotta just spray it, reshape that flange, you know. It's a hard shape to make, to reshape, unless you have like something to shape it with, like another hat with a stiff brim in a smaller size or a bigger size you could put on, or a hat mold, like a hat block or something, or a flange. If you don't have that, it's very tough to make these shapes. There are tricks and stuff, you know. If you watch my videos, how to put the flange back in a floppy brim, I must have done that video 10, 20 times at least. So yeah, it's tough, but it can be done. The idea is to avoid having to fix it and just preserve the curve, right? Preserve the curve. We're gonna make some t-shirts with that, right? All right, preserve the curve.